Tonight, we celebrate episode 200 of the Stogie Geeks show. We're going to do our Stogies of the Week, talk about a lot of new cigars that have come on the market recently. In our Debonair Ideal, we're going to take a look back and a look forward. And a very, very special interview with none other than Abe Flores of PDR Cigars. All that and more, so stay tuned. This is a Security Weekly production. Brought to you by, paying homage to the Mecca of tobacco, Pinar del Rio Cuba, Abe Flores opened his PDR cigar factory in the Dominican Republic over 10 years ago. Abe is one of the hottest boutique cigar makers in the industry today, earning the number 10 spot on Cigar Aficionado's Top 25 Cigars of 2014 with the Abe Flores 1975 Serie Privada. Abe and his team use Cuban blending traditions in a modern boutique Dominican factory. Smoke PDR cigars and cut, light, and taste what they love to do. M. Bombay cigars represent the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in the aging process. M. Bombay cigars are then rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced cigar rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera, M. Bombay Mora, and the recently released M. Bombay Havana. M. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. I love that I get to smoke cigars and call it work.
Hey, Paul.
What's going on, cigar newbie?
I'm halfway through this cigar you gave me, and I was wondering if I could put it out and save it for later.
No.
Well, I wanted to try the Liga Privada with the Connecticut wrapper, and I was wondering where I could get some of those.
Yeah, so those don't exist.
Well, I also have some of the cigars you gave me from before, and I was wondering if I could store them in my refrigerator.
Only if you're going to eat them.
Don't be like Mark. Subscribe to Stogie Geeks Shorts with Paul and Will, a 10-minute show about all things cigar smoking. We provide tips and tricks on humidification, cigar storage, mini reviews on select cigars, accessories, and more. Stogie Geeks Shorts is one-stop shopping for learning about which cigars to smoke and the right way to cut, light, and store your favorite stogies. You can watch Stogie Geeks Shorts on our YouTube channel or subscribe using your favorite podcast app. For all the latest episodes, visit stogieshorts.tv.
Hey, Paul, this cigar is awesome, and I wanted to share it with you, and I was going to cut it in half.
Oh, boy. You need to watch Stogie Geeks Shorts. Welcome, everyone, to episode 200 of the Stogie Geek Show. We're broadcasting live from the Villiger North American studios here in Rhode Island. I'm, of course, your host, Paul Asadorian. On the lines via Skype is none other than Will Cooper. Welcome, Will.
Hey, Paul.
I'm very excited to be here. 200 episodes, my friend.
It really is. And, you know, your vision that you started 5 years ago, you and Tim, it's 200 episodes is amazing.
Yeah, I like to start all my shows by first doing episode 1 and messing up the recording, and then just a bunch of guys or gals sitting around, talking shop, smoking cigars, drinking, having a good time, talking about whatever topic it is, and carrying that through to episode 200 is certainly an achievement. Not all podcasts make it to episode 200, so it is certainly very exciting to be here this evening.
Absolutely. It seems like we just did 100, though. That's what was amazing when we hit this number.
It goes by fast. You know, time flies when you're having fun, Will.
I totally agree.
I'm having fun right now. I lit up, in honor of episode 200, not that we need an excuse to smoke a really great cigar, I lit up an Opus X BBMF from 2010. This is from the CFCF, or the Fun Box, as they call it, from 2010. And it is it's scrumptious. It's scrumptious.
Wow. Now I kind of looking forward because now Opus X probably is a cigar you've smoked a lot, but I haven't smoked a lot of Cubans on the show. But now that we're looking forward, I actually lit up a Bahique 52.
Nice. Is that your
Uh,
first Bahique ever?
no, I've had Bahiques before.
Oh, well.
This
See,
did
I've
not
I've
come from
never
my
had
trip.
one, so.
Oh wow, this did not come from my trip though. Because basically there were none on the island, but I did manage to get one.
Well, they were on the island. They just wouldn't sell them to you.
If they were, or they were hit, and the ones they were willing to sell were basically not Bahiques.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the ones you could buy on the street corner, right?
Yeah, but actually I know the 56 is the one that's gotten a lot of attention, but I really like this Robusto size 52 a lot. That's the one I go to.
Awesome. How is it so far? Well, I know you just lit it up.
It's excellent. I mean, it's got the sweetness. It's got, it's definitely for a Cuban, it's going to be more fuller because it's got that medio tiempo in there. So you're going to get a little more power on it. It's got some great sweetness. And what I like again is what I like about Cuban cigars when you get that Cuban twang, but the Cuban twang isn't going to overpower the blend.
Nice.
And that's what I get with a Bahique.
Yeah, this BBMF, being 6-year-old aged Opus, has that wonderful cinnamon sweetness that it's like no other sweetness or cinnamon sweetness that you find out there. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. Coat your palate. It's going well with my dirty martini that I made in celebration of episode 200. So, cheers to that.
Excellent. Cheers.
What are we doing first? We're doing things backwards here on episode 200.
Yes, we are. Just change up. Yep.
We're going to do our Stogies.
Yeah, we're actually going to do Stogies first.
And I tell you what, I've been having a lot of fun with Stogies lately, Will, because I don't know, and it goes through fits and starts here on the Stogie Geeks show, the way that we kind of acquire our samples, right? So when we buy them, we can't afford to, always be buying samples all the time. So we tend to, come in bunches. And then, I feel like when we finish, kind of some inside baseball here on the Stogie Geek show, when we finish, the latest round, I'll go back, me personally, Will, I know you've got to do the reviews for Cigar Coop, but me personally, I'll just reach back and find things either that I haven't smoked in a while or that have been around for a while and I just haven't had the chance to smoke them yet. And then I'll go off and I'll get another batch of samples. And I recently visited Mr. J. Savannah Smoke Shop, and you sent me some whatever the date was, something samples.
Pre-August 8th. They were all pre-August 8th
Pre-August 8th samples that Will had provided me from IPCPR.
Yep.
And so I've just been having a great time trying all this new stuff. And it's interesting, Will. Most of the stuff I've really, really liked, to be honest with you. I mean, you'll see a lot. There's no bad ratings in there, and there wasn't ones that I was weeding out and going, I'm not ready to talk about that because I really didn't like the first one I smoked. The stuff I've been smoking, Will, has been all really good.
Yeah, and that's I would kind of agree with that. I think this was there were no dog rockets that came out of the show this year. There were a couple that were better than others, obviously, but there were no dog rockets. It was interesting for me because quietly, I took about 3 weeks off of Cigar Coop reviews in August. Most of it was because of the IPCBR coverage,
right?
But it was also just to kind of recharge a bit. And so I'm now getting back into the Cigar Coop review cycle, and so I'm kind of again starting to hit this plethora of stuff that we have in the backlog as well. And
nice.
I mixed some old stuff in tonight as well, just for
because
I was still going through some of that older. I was just smoking older stuff too as I took that 3-week period off.
Yeah, it's one that's not on my list, but that we talked about on the show is that Mi Quesaria. Did I say that right?
Mi Querida.
Mi Querida.
I just smoked one right before this show.
I tell you what, now the first one I smoked, I was sitting next to Steve Saka, right? Which not everyone gets that opportunity. I'm very blessed to have that opportunity to sit with Steve and smoke one of his cigars with him. And when you do, I firmly believe that your views on that cigar are going to be slightly influenced because the person that made it is sitting right next to you. And now we're very honest on all of our reviews. And quite frankly, if I thought the cigar sucked, I would have told Steve to his face because he appreciates that level of honesty. But on the show, I was, somewhat raving about it. And so I went back and I smoked 2 more since then. And I tell you what, love this cigar, Will. I love it in this Toro size. I bought 2 more in this Toro size. I didn't deviate because I was like, well, I really like the Toro size that I smoked before, so let me stick with that size. I'll smoke a couple more and see what I really think of it, smoke it in different environments. And I love this cigar. This cigar's box worthy to me. Well, this is one that I could smoke all the time. It's got that medium profile, tons of flavor. It burns great, produces tons of smoke. I love it.
So these are kind of the sizes are all pretty close on this line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's one which is a traditional 6x52 Toro, which is the Uncle Largo,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also this 6x48, which is the Fino Largo. And I'm now gravitating to that 6x48, which is, I
Interesting.
guess, it's almost a short Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I think those two sizes that I just mentioned are the ones that stand out. And it's funny you said, because when when you're smoking a cigar in front of a guest, it's not that you're trying to sugarcoat it, but you look more for the positives. I
Absolutely.
think, in that point.
Yeah.
So you do have to go back and smoke it again. I think more in that neutral setting, so to speak. But I agree. This cigar. I mean, this was one of the highlights of this IPCPR for me. Was that line.
And you smoked a lot of cigars out there, so that's really saying something, Will.
Yeah.
I do also want to say, excuse me, that yesterday I was tooling around my neighborhood on my Segway while I was wearing my Tom Brady Uggs in my Tom Brady jersey, just so you get the visual, Will. And I decided to have a cigar, and I lit up had to be 5 or 6 year old Liga Privada number 9 Bellicoso. And I tell you what, though, and I don't want to, and I'm apologizing to Steve for this, but the mi quesadilla, carita is in a similar kind of profile. Like, they're not like completely opposite profiles of cigar. Like, I could pick out some qualities in each that I liked, and it all just wasn't about flavor or taste, right? Like, the smoking experience to me was similar in the draw, the burn, and the amount of smoke that they produced. I kind of put them in a similar category. And that's a very positive thing for me because I really like a cigar that puts out a lot of smoke. And I think those two fall in that same kind of category for me. And by no means, I don't think Steve was trying to accomplish that. But knowing that Lee blended Liga Privada for him, it kind of made sense that they would have similar smoking characteristics in terms of smoke production and burn and draw in those kind of things. So I don't know if I could be way off there, but I thought they were in a similar kind of family.
It's a broadleaf Nicaraguan centric blend, which that's what. Well, the Liga is a little different. The Liga's got some other tobaccos. It's got that Honduran leaf in there. I think that makes. But in general, it's a broadleaf cigar. It's got that rougher, grittier type of. Steve called it a dirty smoke, and I think Liga Privada 9 is in that wheelhouse. But if you smoke these cigars back to back,
totally different. Totally different.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
In the same family of
Yeah.
And my Liga Privada number 9 was fantastic, by the way. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, I got down to the final third, and that might have been the best part. Is towards the end. Like, I didn't want to put it. I was burning my fingers on it. Which is interesting how that cigar is aged. And some people say they age out. I think I hit this one at the right time. I think if it had a little more age on it, it might have started going down in terms of the flavor and robustness of the smoke. But this was a perfect time to smoke it. I mean, what better time on my Segway, my Tom Brady Uggs, and my Tom Brady jersey?
If anyone could get video of you going around Coventry, Rhode Island with a Segway, I'd love to see a cigar. I'd love to see that.
I totally get on my Segway and go around my neighborhood.
That is cool.
I have a cigar in one hand, sometimes a drink in the other hand. Other times I'm pushing my son on like his little wagon thing while I'm on the Segway while I have a cigar. It's pretty much.
That is really cool.
That's how I roll in my neighborhood. My neighbors think I'm completely crazy.
Yeah, they're not totally off base.
And you know what? And there's a lot of truth to that. Will, what else you been smoking?
We're gonna have these guys on the show, I think, in a few weeks. This is a new brand. I've smoked a few cigars in their line, and they're a new company, and I think it's one of the new companies that really had a very good IPCPR. And the company's called Serino Cigars, Serino. The company's run by a guy named Tony Serino. He's been in the business for a while. He's more of an importer, but he decided to create a premium line. And what's significant about who he worked with is he went to work with a guy by the name of Omar Gonzalez. And what you need to know about Omar Gonzalez is he's the guy who worked on HR with Hirochi. And he was a big part of that HR blend. So it's made at that factory. They have a line of cigars. And I smoked the Sereno Royale Maduro Double X, which is they have a couple of Maduros. This is their bolder Maduro. It's a Ecuadorian Habano, a Oscuro wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler, and the Sublime is that same size as that big HR, which is the one I liked. It's a 6.5 or 6.25 by 54. I thought it was a really good cigar overall. I thought it was a lot of things that I liked in terms of what it brought to the table for a Maduro. It's got some complexity to the cigar. So, I mean, if you really kind of sit down and smoke it, you're going to get a lot of good notes. You know, everything from that natural Maduro sweetness to coffee to some cedar. It changes up a lot along the way, which is what I like. It was probably more of a medium to full cigar, so it wasn't an overpowering cigar by any means. It's got a higher price point. It's a $13 cigar, so it is a little bit higher price point. So probably it's going to influence it from a buying perspective for me. I ended up going box split with it. When you get into that $13 price point, you're in a competitive area. But on a merit, it's still a very, very good cigar, and I was impressed with this one a great deal.
Excellent. Let's see. Lots of good stuff on my list. The Oscar Robusto. Let's start there. This is a really fun one, Will. This is the Leaf by Oscar.
Yes.
From this manufacturer. And Island Jim is the guy behind Leaf by Oscar. Am I correct in saying that?
This, and I'll tell you a little bit of how this is different, but it's connected with all that. Yes.
Okay. And this is another one from the Leaf by Oscar kind of family that wraps the cigar in tobacco leaves. And they decided to wrap this particular cigar in a Candela wrapper. And I'm trying to. When I smelled the Candela wrapper, I got I don't know if it was a candle scent or freshly cut grass, or I don't remember what I called it, to be honest with you. If I smelled it again, it was very. I have never I described the scent to one of our production guys, Mark, and I'm like, I've never used those words to describe the cigar before. And a cigar, and this wrapper had this very just distinct off of the Candela. You know what I mean? Like it had this backyard cut grass and dirt kind of aroma, right?
But it was it was kind of pleasant.
Yeah, it wasn't bad by any stretch. I was like, that's kind of interesting. Now, when you smoked it, it didn't taste like grass that was rubbed in the dirt. It's kind of what it smelled like, to be honest with you. But it didn't taste like that at all. It had a very clean, crisp flavor to it. And this is a Habano wrapper. And I really liked it. I called it a 5-er. I thought it was a really good cigar, actually.
I think it needs a little age, but I think it's going to be. I think this cigar has a lot of potential. I think right now it's in the 5-er range for sure. I think it's got some real potential, this cigar. I just kind of thought it needed a little more time, but to really hit its peak. Couple of things that are a little about this cigar, because a lot of people are asking about this, who I encounter. So it's made by Oscar, who makes the Leaf by Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made by the same person. It's being distributed separately from Leaf. So, and that was just a decision that they made. For whatever reason, it's being distributed. Oscar has already had its own distribution company prior to working with Leaf. So he made the decision to kind of to distribute this separately from Leaf. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's a confusing message to do it because this is it's so much tied in with that Leaf story. But so folks know if your retailer has Leaf by Oscar, they may not necessarily have this one. So it's something important to know. But
it's got a aqua colored band underneath the green,
like a seafoam,
a seafoam green,
yeah.
But it works. The wrapper color is brown hue to the wrapper. It's a very gorgeous wrapper, and it's got this seafoam green thing going on the band, which it's kind of a shame. The Candela goes over the band, so you don't get to see the band when it's sitting on the shelf in the retailer. And I thought that did this cigar somewhat of a disservice because the seafoam greenish blue is almost like a teal, which you wouldn't think would work in a band, but it does. So you agree with kind of a nice surprise. Like you take this ugly, I mean, the Candela wrapper that's on it is ugly, right? But
Yeah.
that adds to the appeal.
It was
But
closer
the
to
band is
Kermit the
nice.
Frog, not quite Kermit the Frog green,
It
but
was more. It was a brownish green.
yeah,
It wasn't like a Kermit the Frog neon green, but
yeah, yeah. The other thing is the boxes. These cigars come when you buy a box of these, they come in a cigar mold. So literally each they literally took cigar molds and they made it into a box.
nice.
Which so it's really cool. In fact, my retailer just got those in. The other thing is that band actually it's much more elegant than what you saw on the Leaf band, which was a very simplistic band that they made out of tequila plant.
This is a more elegant bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
this you'll see it's just much more refined that band. So yeah, but I would agree with you on that. And the other thing is they're using Nicaraguan tobacco in here, which Oscar had not used in the Leaf cigars. Which people, yeah.
Back to you, Will. What else you got?
I guess we'll kind of go with this one, the Skinny Hide.
The skinny
Which-
hide.
The Skinny
Oh,
Hide.
okay.
Skinny
So, like,
Monsters Hide.
Jekyll and Hyde. So it's the hide, but in the Lancero format is the skinny monsters, right?
Well,
No,
Yes.
it's not. Yes.
yes and no. Yes and no. So it's a 6x38 Petite Lancero.
Petite Lanceros. That's what they are.
But here's the thing. Here's where it gets confusing. There's two more Skinny Monster sets that were launched at the IPCPR. There's a Cazadores size, which is that 43.
Oh, yeah. We covered this in the news. Yes.
Yeah, and a 7x38, which is a full Lancero. But this is the Petite Lancero. I wasn't a fan of the hide. It has this like unique kind of minty note to it, right? And I like the fact it's unique, but I don't necessarily think it's something that works with a cigar. And it's not an infused mint note or anything, but there's just something herbal or minty about that. And it didn't work in the big full-size hide, the Churchill size. I don't think it works in the skinny hide, which you get that. The only little more positive of this is every time I spoke the full-size hide, I felt the flavors kind of died out in the last third. This one kind of kept the flavor a little longer, but it wasn't enough to win me over. I gave it a try one, and it's also one of the. It's got a medium to full in terms of strength and body, so it's got a little more pop, I think, than maybe the big one. But I don't know. I think the hide was just one of. I mean, if you go through all the facings now in the Monster series, taking all these new ones into account, there's 52 facings. There's plenty of good monsters out there that So this is not a knock on. Not everyone's going to be a hit. I think this is just one of those cases.
I want to talk about Caldwell because you had one from Caldwell in there, Will.
Yes, I did.
And I had two from Caldwell in there. So I want to start with the Pyramid. So this is the Caldwell Eastern Standard Dos Formas, Caldwell Signature in the Pyramid size. And this is a Connecticut wrapper, correct?
That's all we know about it.
Okay.
Caldwell's getting much more closer to the vest now, disclosing blends, I think, with the FDA.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought this was a good little Connecticut. I thought it had a lot of body and a little more strength than your average Connecticut, but I really liked the size and the Pyramid. I thought it performed well. Excuse me, and I would definitely smoke more. I'm sure age is going to play a factor here. I think the cigar's got to age a little more before it gets beyond a fiver, but I really liked it.
So this cigar, the story with this cigar is with me. I was at IPCPR, and I think we talked about that circle bar, and Robert handed me this cigar. Okay, now he handed it to me in the Robusto. I was on a smoking day where I had a lot of smokes, but
like 12 or 13.
12. It was probably about 8. Right? But I smoked it, and I was blown away with the cigar in the Robusto, how good it was. Again, I haven't smoked the Pyramid. I haven't smoked the Calabra, and there's one other size, which is escaping me. I think it's a Rothschild. I'll say this. It was the best. That Robusto was the best cigar I had at the show.
Really?
That was
interesting.
Yeah. It was, and in fact, Stogie Santa brought it in on my recommendation. So I don't think I'm out of line by saying that. That doesn't mean I would go to the Pyramid or the Calabria one and say it would be. Now, I didn't put a rating on it. Okay, I'm just saying it was the best cigar I had at the show. But we talk about different sizes, and the one I had, he could have been aging that longer. I don't know, but I'm
Right.
just saying at the show that was the cigar and it made an impression on a lot of people. So I would say this cigar, look at it in a few sizes and see how it's going to age as well.
Yeah, I'll say this: it's an amped up Connecticut where the filler and the binder doesn't, the flavors and intensity don't overpower the wrapper. In that sense, you can see where you get a very well balanced cigar, but a Connecticut that's on the stronger end of the spectrum that you still get those Connecticut sweet and it doesn't overpower the sweetness of the Connecticut. I smoked both two of them for this review, and I really really like them. I'm going to go back to Mr. J's. I'm going to pick up some of the Robusto Will now that you've said you smoked that and really liked it, and see what I think. This could be a contender for something that works its way into my regular rotation of Connecticut smoking for sure.
When I smoked it, it didn't necessarily say this was going to be a Paul Asadorian Connecticut either. I didn't necessarily get that impression, other than I thought because it was different, and it's definitely a little more amped up than some of the other Caldwell Connecticut's that are out there.
Now, I did smoke the Culebra.
Wow, yeah, and I have it, but I haven't smoked it yet.
Yeah, and I also got that at Mr. J's because there's not too many Culebras on the market compared to regular Peritos, right? Compared to regular Vitolas, but this Culebra is really it's a very small Culebra.
Yeah, it's a 6x30.
Yeah,
it's actually thinner than a it's very thin.
And I tell you what, you would talk about like a lot of flavor and intensity from a Connecticut. This one amped it up even more. And this one I would recommend you smoke later in the day almost because that flavor was so intense. And it was very good. I had a tough time keeping this one lit, and I don't know. The Calibra's kind of a weird size, right?
Calibra's a weird, yeah.
3 cigars rolled together, so I kind of give him a pass on that one for having to keep relighting it too. But when I smoked it, it was very good. I smoked it today, and it had a lot of intense flavor. So this is definitely one that I would buy more of, and I just think Culebras are a really cool thing to have.
There's not a lot of that came in like 7-count boxes, and when I actually was looking at this at the show, what came to me is you don't see a lot of Culebras come in 7-count boxes. They're usually individual. They're usually kind of done individually, which is something that it's something a little different there. I don't think this is priced outrageously, this cigar either.
What's it cost for a 7-count box, did you say?
Yeah, I don't have the pricing on it. I would say it's probably in the $10 to $12 range. That cigar. I mean,
that's not bad because you're getting 3 cigars for the price of one, essentially.
Yeah,
it took me a while to smoke that Culebra too, so that's a lot of smoking time you get in this box.
Yeah.
And again, Calibra's something fun you share with your friends. I gave the production guys, the other two, and I think they really liked them. I don't know exactly what they thought of them. They were speaking highly of it when they smoked them. So.
Yeah, what's Calibras though? Once you pull them apart, they're really ugly, but they're really beautiful when they're like wound together.
They are. They're extremely ugly when you pull them apart. But they smoke good though. All the Calibras I've smoked have smoked fantastic. So.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So I went back and I smoked Caldwell Last Czar Bellicoso, and the Last Czar, when those Bellicosos came out last year, I think they were disappointing. I think there were higher expectations with that cigar. When they came out with the Churchill, I really liked the Churchill. But I had a couple of these aging around, and I went back and smoked them over the past couple of weeks. So, and what I'll say is this cigar got a lot better. It took a long time, but I think this cigar has come around. It's a smoke bomb. So, I smoked this thing. It has got a lot of smoke it produces. It's a full strength, full bodied cigar. It's definitely a powerhouse for a Caldwell. It's got an interesting citrus note to it. The citrus note really is kind of sweetened out. It didn't have that sourness anymore that I kind of was getting when these first came out. Good natural tobacco note. The burn was much better this time. that wrapper, I was having some issues burning the Bellicoso. It wasn't perfect, but I would say it's a very good. If you're looking at that, I moved this one up to. I actually moved this one up into a box split. It was a fiver. I moved it up to a box split.
I have to revisit that one. I do want to say one of the production folks said he thought it was awesome. Going back to the Culebra that we were talking about, yeah. So they really liked it.
I'm telling you, I think that blend has really got some. I think it's got some real potential. That blend, as one of it was a more limited release that he did at the show, but that's a really good blend.
Let's see. What else have I been smoking? So let's stay on the Connecticut theme.
Okay.
And this one might be, from what I've heard of people's thoughts on this cigar, might be a little controversial. And this is the Charter Oak Connecticut Shade by Foundation Cigar Company, Nick Melillo's company. And I believe the goal with this was to come out with a reasonably priced Connecticut.
Yeah,
It's kind of, I don't want to say it's a value line though, is the way it was described to me.
yeah. It's I think it's an under $7 cigar point he was trying to hit.
So under $7, and I got to be honest, from the point that I bought it, people were kind of like, yeah, it's okay. They weren't raving about it, even when you go purchase it. And then you said the same thing, Will, and said other people in the industry were kind of, they like hit or miss on it. I don't know. What's the general reaction been in this cigar, Will?
It's been hit or miss. But I think there's two blends in the Charter Oak. There's a broadleaf and a shade.
Okay, so I smoked the shade. I only smoked the shade.
And the broadleaf seems to be getting more of the buzz
yeah. I haven't smoked the broadleaf yet, but I did smoke the shade in two different sizes. One was a Toro, and for whatever reason,
they're going a Petite Corona, yeah.
Well, the Connecticut's that I really like tend to fall in the Toro size. Toro for me is a good morning smoke. I don't know what it is. Will and this is probably way off base, but it's probably the basis for this is the EP Carrillo New Wave Reserva. I like the Toro size the best. So in other Connecticut lines, I've been trying the Toro size. There's no science behind this. This is just purely like Paul's way of experimenting and trying new cigars. So I picked up a couple in the Toro size, and I smoked those. And I tell you, when the Toro size, I got more spice and pepper, and it was a little unbalanced for me. And I can see where some of the reviewers would be kind of harsh on it.
Right.
Having that experience with it and being in I think there's a lot of responsibility. Speaking of 200 episodes reviewing cigars, and God knows how many views and posts to Cigar Coop for however many days in a row, right? You have to put your experiences of a particular size from a particular company aside and go on to the next thing. And I went on to the next thing. The other size I had in this line was is it a Petite Corona, he calls it? It's not very petite. It's a large Petite Corona. I called it a Corona. I didn't know it was a Petite Corona. It's more like a Corona to me. And all of these have a closed foot on them. And some of my concern when I lit them was I'm like, the draw is kind of snug. And then I'd look, I'm like, oh, it's a closed foot, to give it a chance. And once I lit it up, it opened right up. The two Petite Coronas I smoked, Will, are out of this world. They're awesome. I would smoke one every morning with coffee. This was a really good cigar. And it's kind of funny. I was getting compliments actually in the room aroma coming from this cigar. There is so much sweetness that comes from this Petite Corona. I loved it.
Wow.
I loved it. I rated it box worthy. I would totally have a box of these to work into my morning rotation. And you know how hard it is to work into my morning smoking rotation. Like there's only so many mornings left in my lifetime. And to work your way into my morning rotation is saying something, and especially for the price point, because when I deem something box-worthy that's in my morning rotation, it's already something I've talked about in the show. I can't work it into the rest of my reviews. So this has got to be something that's really worth my time, right? Because I'm not going to, I can't call it a review. It's just something I'm smoking for pure enjoyment to kind of wake my palate up to do my reviews for the rest of the day, unless I'm trying something new in the Connecticut size. But I kind of build in time in my week that I can have what I like in the morning, and this would fit my profile well. This cigar was good. So
I was surprised. And now I smoked an IPCPR Sam. I wasn't quite as high on it. I don't think I smoked that size though.
We were talking, Will, how about there's something about when a cigar's in a smaller size, it might age differently, faster, differently, because there's less tobacco in there. I remember talking in somewhere in our 200 episode archive about this. Maybe it was with Phil Zangi. I'm not sure, but this was a good cigar.
Yeah, we're gonna have Phil on next week, and I think I want to definitely hit him up with that again because you and I were talking about that over the last week, and it is a good point. And I remember we had some conversation. I just don't remember how it went on that.
So
all I know is I'm looking at our new internal chat room, and there is graphics that have been put up of these hot girls.
For the listeners out there, we have created a new back channel for the show, and the back channel is the production team and basically all of the hosts of any show on our network. So this could be the Security Network, could be the Cigar Network. Basically, anyone that's a host or involved with the production of the show has access to this super secret chat room that we created. And for the geeks out there, you may have heard of Slack. So basically, we have a Slack channel, which you can get on any computer or your phone. And we've got this is an extension. It's called Giphy. And you can type Giphy and then a phrase, and it puts up an animated GIF based on the phrase that you typed in. So you can just imagine the hilarity that ensues.
So I can just type that and it will find something with that?
So you just put /Giphy space and then like any word or phrase, string of words, and it will randomly select an animated GIF and display that in the chat room. Yes, that is a perfect, that is a very good usage of Giphy, Will. Thank you for that.
Oh, my goodness. For folks who don't know, I just put bikini in there.
That's nice. That's nice. That's
and it found a bikini picture. That's awesome.
That's pretty much how we use it. Yeah, it's how we keep ourselves entertained. So if like a guest or an interviewee like says something funny, like uses a word, typically someone will do Giphy and then the word, and then ridiculous images show up in our chat. However, we do use our chat channel for legitimate purposes, such as keeping tabs on the time, how many listeners and viewers do we have, volume levels, and things like that. So for a long time, we searched for the right technology to have a back channel between production and the host. And I think we found it with Slack. So it's good.
I think we did.
It's good.
I'm sold.
So, Will, what else you been smoking?
This is kind of one of these under the radar brands, but it interested me because of who made the cigar. Cigar is called Entrada First Edition. It's made by Casa Fernandez, so that's kind of a favorite factory and cigar maker of mine. And it's a San Andreas Mexican Maduro over Nicaraguan binder and filler. The company it's basically one of these. There was a cigar retailer out in Nebraska. He kind of got the bug to kind of become a cigar brand owner, and this has been released on the market for a couple of years, so it's not totally new. What I like about Casa Fernandez Maduros, and I see this a lot in like what Dion does and what Andres Farkas at Viaje does, is I find the Mexican wrappers don't overpower the blend and allows the other things to shine in this. And I think with the Entrada, I definitely got some of that, although I didn't get a lot of complexity with this cigar, but I was still able to get a lot of other notes there. It's your classic chocolate bar Maduro type of cigar, I would say. But it was actually quite enjoyable because it kind of was in this medium to full range and strength of body, which I like for a Maduro. That just hits my wheelhouse. This cigar I smoked was in a Corona format, which is a 5.5 by 44. So it was a nice small cigar, and it's one I could see myself smoking. When I do want that 30 to 40 minute smoke, maybe more of a 40-minute smoke, I'd say. Great cigar. Price point goes for about $8.20. I saw these on Cigar Federation if people were asking where to get it. So I gave it a box split. Really like this cigar.
Nice. Now, I don't know. I'm getting kind of old and a little like curmudgeon-y, in my old age. I'm not quite like full blown level curmudgeon like Jack Daniel, Jeff Mann style curmudgeon, but I'm getting a little more curmudgeon in me. And when I see a new Tatuaje Reserva, I'm like, like I've smoked everything in the Tatuaje Reserva line, and I've loved a lot of things in the Tatuaje Reserva line. I've not liked some things in the Reserva line. And then Pete announces a line extension in the Tatuaje Reserva, and the curmudgeon comes out like what else can Pete possibly accomplish in this Tatuaje Reserva line? And Pete, if you're listening, just keep listening. I'm not done yet. So here comes the Reserva K222, and this is in reference to his beloved dog Kona, who passed away at 222. It's an Ecuadorian. Now, the blend didn't change, right? It's Ecuadorian, Habano, Nicaraguan binder, and filler. That's the whole Tatuaje Reserva line, right? Yeah. And it's available in a 5 7/8 by 52 Toro. Again, kind of re-emphasizing my love affair that I've had recently with the Toro size. And I have to say, Will, it like from the moment I lit up this new size in the Toro, I was like, wow. I'm like, this is really good. And then I kept smoking, and I'm like, this is really good. I'm like, this has no age on. Like, typically, I'll age the Tatuaje Reserva for a while. Like, the Nuea Reserva is one of my most beloved cigars. We'll probably talk about that in the next segment. It's probably
I
good
think
thing.
we will.
And because this is the line we've smoked a ton of, and I was like, wow, that was a really good cigar. I'm like, and it had that not only great flavors and great nuances within the smoke, but it had fantastic smoking characteristics. Like, the burn, draw, and construction were spot on. The amount of smoke that it produced was absolutely perfect. And everyone knows me. I mean, we call it friggin' Paul syndrome for a reason, right? Because I pick up cigars, inevitably they have friggin' construction problems.
Right.
I smoked 2 of these for this review, Will. Both smoked friggin' awesome and had awesome flavor. And I would call this a box worthy. This is another Tatuaje Reserva that I would hold in high regard. I would call it box worthy, and I guarantee with age, it's going to get nothing but better. Love the cigar.
You know, I heard mixed reviews on this cigar. I haven't smoked it yet. I do have it. In fact, I had Stogie Santa send me up some of these.
Yeah.
So I just got them. I literally just got them on Saturday. I haven't smoked. But I've heard mixed reviews.
He had a home run. Again, I mean, this is a line that's been around forever. There is lots of different offerings in this line. And to be at this stage in the game and then go ahead and release this, I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Pete, you're awesome. Nice job. I'll buy a box. You can have my money. Take my money, please. This is great.
Yeah, and Pete's doing that cigar out of Miami, which is, so he's doing smaller batches of it. So this cigar's a little tougher to come by. Where more of the broadleaf stuff's done out of Nicaragua, the reserves, but this one's the Habano stuff's being done out of Miami. So
did a nice job with it, Will. I tell you what, I was impressed.
Yeah, I can't wait to smoke that. I do have it, so I can't wait to smoke it.
You're gonna want to smoke more than one. I hope you got more than one.
I got several. Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
Went back and I was on a Bellicoso kick over the past couple weeks. So I went back and smoked the Room 101 Big Delicious. That was one of these smoking exclusives that Room 101 did for them. And when this cigar came out, I loved it. This came out in 2013, so it's about 3.5 years old. I really, really liked the cigar. I thought it was a very complex cigar. I had bought a couple of boxes of these, in fact, because I really liked it. And about a year later, I thought they started going downhill. I thought they were starting to lose something. They were starting to just lose flavor, I guess is the best way to put it. Lost some of that complexity. Now I'm kind of down to a few of these that are left 3.5 years later, and they're duds. Is all I could tell you. I love Abe and Matt Booth, but I'm sorry, they're just not smoking where they were. They just did not have a lot of flavor. It was a lot of cedar I was getting off these things now, and not much else. Lost a lot of the sweetness in there, a lot of the change-ups, the smoothness of the cigar was gone. And if I would say, this is the type of cigar, if you have them, smoke them, take them out take them out while you're mowing the lawn. It's not lawn mulch by any means, but this kind of cigar.
So you're not throwing it in front of the lawnmower while you're mowing?
No, no. I mean, these cigars very much satisfied me when I got them. But they were losing stuff, and now they've kind of, I think, come to end of life, is the best way to put it. I gave them an angler at this point.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
you've not had a lot of whole high reviews in this show.
I got a couple coming up.
What is it? What is okay?
I held them to the back. I bet. I
That's
know.
good.
I know.
Yeah, I'm easing my way. I got an Oasis I'm gonna talk about, but
I don't have an Oasis, but I have two big ones
I'm
coming
gonna
up.
really quick Matilde Quadrata Robusto.
Let me ask you: was it the Robusto or was it the Gran Toro?
I think it's the one you sent. You sent this one to me, Will. This
Okay,
came
it's
from the show samples.
Okay, it came from the show. It's a Robusto.
It was Robusto. Okay.
Okay.
I like the Matilde cigars. I really do, and I like this one too. I don't want to set anyone up for saying that I'm not going to like it. I did like it. The reason there's some like hesitation in there was, I don't know if it was the time. I only had one of these to smoke, Will, which is fine. I'm not complaining because it's a cigar free for review, right? But it was so strong. Oh my God. And I don't know if it was the time of day I smoked it or just the smoking condition I was in. Are these cigars really strong?
So I had a debrief with Seth
Yeah.
from Seth's Humidor after you told me that, because I didn't get that. Okay, now I haven't smoked that size. I smoked the Gran Toro, and I know Seth, and we thought it was somewhere in the middle of the Oscura and the Renaissance. So we thought it was like in the middle, like
Okay.
more medium plus. I didn't find that, but again, I'm going off. The one size I had was the Gran Toro.
This Robusto knocked my socks off, dude. And I haven't really taken a break from smoking. Like, I've been smoking at a good clip. Like, Friday, we had some guests here in studio. Like, it was like an 8-9 cigar day for me on Friday. So, like, it's not like I've taken a break and then went back and smoked this one and said, oh, my God, it's really strong. Like, I've been smoking at a good clip. And this one was just like, wow. Maybe I didn't eat enough that day. That could be the case. But I thought it was really strong. So much so that it kind of detracted from my smoking experience. Now, having said that, the flavors were really good in the cigar. It was very smooth and well balanced. I just found it to be very strong. So if it were me, I recommend you let some of these sit for a while, age them, eat a good meal is my recommendation at this time. I still call it a 5-er. Again, this cigar will probably rank higher with me when I try it again. Maybe eat a full meal. Try it, in my as I've described for our listeners in the past, my workshop. After I've had 3 meals in a day and I'm winding down for the evening, I'm going to try this cigar again, and I think it's going to score much better. But it was, again, very smooth, a lot of flavor, just very, very strong for me. And I'm Kruk likes to call me a wuss, but in terms of smoking cigars, other people have too. Well, for different reasons. But this cigar was strong, Will.
I gotta, like I said, I've had one. It's coming to my retail shop, but it was the Gran Toro. Again, I smoked.
Which give a different size. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
But I gotta smoke I'm gonna try the Robusto. But I found it was a cigar that, since the show sample I smoked, got significantly better.
Yeah.
So I do
has
agree with
aging
that.
potential. Yeah.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
it's good. This could score really high with some aging potential on it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now the Connecticut, the Serena, is in the box that was just packed for you.
Okay.
So
perfect.
I think that's getting sent out or has been sent out.
I got a lot of sample. I'm still going through my bag that I picked up at Mr. Jason on a smoke shop. Will. It's a great time to be a cigar reviewer right now. That's all I can tell you. Because of FDA, there were a lot of new releases. So.
Yep. And we so we have more coming. There's still IPCPR stuff I haven't gone through yet. It's sitting
it's
in.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I'm
having a lot of fun.
Yep.
All right, back to you, Will.
All right, here's one of my big ones, big 2 I had this week. This is a brand that I think people should start keeping an eye out for right now, because this is a brand that's made a very good impression on me. The brand's called Archetype. Archetype is made by Ventura Cigar, who is making the Project 805 and the Psycho 7.
Okay, I remember you telling me about this. Yeah.
Yeah, they have 5 blends in the Archetype line. 3 of them were done by Davidoff, and 2 of them were done by Drew Estate. The Davidoff's called Series A, the Drew Estates are called Series B, and they're 5 distinct blends. The one I'm going to talk about is called the Dream State Toro. And it is, when you look at this cigar, I mean, the packaging's really, really cool. It's kind of got this psychological theme, if you may, with it. So they're kind of going, this whole thing. There's a psychology theme going with this thing. Is all I could tell you. But this is one of the Davidoff ones. It's basically they don't talk a lot about it, other than it's a Dominican Connecticut grown Connecticut seed wrapper. I smoked the 6x50 of the Toro. I tell you what, this is a great cigar. It has got so much flavor. But here's the thing. It's a cigar that's pretty much mild to medium in flavor. So it's not something that's going to be heavy on the palate or heavy in strength at all, but there's enough flavor that keeps me real interested with this. Think a little bit of Davidoff White Label, and that's kind of where I think they were going with this. But it's not a Davidoff White Label. It's different. But it's priced kind of in that range. These are priced probably closer to $15. They're not cheap cigars, but really, really love this cigar. Ton of complexity, great sweetness, a little toasty note you get in there, a little bit of pepper that kind of tingles on the tongue at the end. I think if you like Davidoff White Label, you need to try this cigar. I gave it a box worthy with this cigar. This is the one I was telling you I wanted you to try.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
And hey, if you send it to me, I'll smoke it.
No, you'll smoke it. I'm really curious to see. Now, there's another one which I'll hold back and talk about in a week or two. It's another one by the Davidoff, which is a very different profile. So I'll kind of I don't want to give too much away with this line right now. I did smoke the Drew Estate ones as well, and the one I think I smoked is called Axel Mundi.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I'll just say about that one. It was very good. It had more of a Corojo sweetness to it, even though I don't think there was any Corojo in it. Or they didn't say there was any Corojo, but I tasted a lot of Corojo sweetness. Probably more of a box split with that one. So
I smoked Imperia Fundador. Did I say that right? Fundador?
That's the Mike Bellotti size.
Fundador, yeah, by MLB Cigar Ventures, Mike Bellotti. And recently, in an interview, I was asked what is my most memorable and or hilarious moment in all of my 11 years of podcasting. It absolutely has to be, we can't do episode 200 and not take a look back and think about, I mean, I don't even have to think about the answer when people ask me most memorable or funniest moment in podcasting history. Has to be the Ass Press cigar.
This is, when you say podcast history, are you talking Security Weekly as well, or just Stogie Geeks?
I'm talking like in all podcasts that have ever been produced on the entire planet, Will. This is my pick for the funniest podcast moment ever, and I challenge anyone to come up with a funnier freaking moment in podcast history than the Ass Pressed cigar. That is how epic I rate that experience. When Nick Melillo, Mike Bellotti, myself, and Stogie Santa were in studio. Will, you were on lines via Skype. This is the funniest moment in podcast history ever, where Stogie Santa lost his cigar. Turns out that he was sitting on it. Still to this day, I giggle to myself every time I think of it.
Episode 153.
153, thank you, Will. 153.
And I cannot believe how many people, because it was about a year ago that was recorded, last September.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe how many people were talking about that at IPCPR. And, when I said I was with Stogie Geeks, the first thing that, introducing myself to maybe people I hadn't met before, the first thing he says, that episode where Stogie Santa lost his, I mean, I went to Mike Bellotti's group, and then one of his guys working for him started bringing that up. I mean, Mike brought it up.
It is the funniest moment in podcast history. We're on like episode 480 of Security Weekly. I don't think there's a moment funnier in that whole archive than that moment in Stogie Geeks.
It was. I just remember, and I'm like,
I was listening to podcasts before I started doing my own podcast, and I still can't think of, and I still listen to other podcasts to this day. I can't think of anything funnier than that moment, dude.
Now, Stogie Santa drunk at IPCPR in Orlando was pretty funny.
Well, I mean, Stogie Santa drunk at any pretty given time is, I mean, the funny meter is cranked up. Like it's funny, dude. He's an awesome person, and he is funny.
Yeah, that pales compared to that episode.
Yeah, no, and this just takes it to. And anyway, we were smoking this cigar. We were smoking Nick's cigar. We were smoking Nick's cigars. I think,
You
on that
smoke-
episode.
yeah,
We were
you-
smoking
you-
Nick cigars on this episode, but we were smoking Mike cigars on other episodes. And this Fundador is an awesome cigar. It is box worthy. I went back and smoked one. The last time I saw Mike, he gifted me some. Awesome cigar, great flavor. This is made of the Quesada factory, correct? And just great all around. Medium bodied, full of flavor, great cigar. I'd smoke these all day long.
Yeah, I like that size. That's the. I remember he talked about that was his personal size.
Yeah.
That he took.
I put that
And,
there specifically so that we could talk about the Ass Press cigar episode.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Classic, dude. All right,
Yeah.
you got more on your list? Ooh,
One more.
Yamasa, is that?
Yamasa.
We both smoked a different size of Yamasa.
Yep. I went with the pyramid.
Okay.
And love this cigar. It's lot going on with this cigar as well. I kind of, in a way, I think this is, even though it's more of a Dominican based Davidoff, right? Because the Davidoff kind of went back to the Dominican roots here. I think it's got a lot of I think it's got some unique qualities. It doesn't smoke like any other Davidoff before. It's just a lot of notes. I love the sweetness that comes through. There's some of those Davidoff straw notes that you get in there. Some of the Davidoff black pepper kind of in the second half. You start to feel it on the tongue a bit. You can even get a little bit of a chocolate and a cedar note in there. This is a cigar that's getting better and better, is what I'll say. Because I actually, when I was at the Davidoff dinner, we had these, and they're getting better and better. The burn on the pyramid has been the one thing. It's not been perfect. It's been good, but it requires a little more maintenance on it. But I think this is overall the best of the sizes. I give this one it's a pricey cigar at $23, but I'm still giving it a box worthy here.
I smoked the Robusto, and I have to say, Will, like, I don't even care what size this is so far of the two sizes I smoked. This is Fight Chuck Norris all day long.
You've been very high on this blend.
This blend is awesome. Every time I light this cigar up, it's like unicorns come through the studio. There's like a rainbow of Skittles. There's angels playing harps. It's like an unbelievable experience every time I smoke this cigar. I just think this blend is absolutely fantastic. For it to be that awesome in multiple sizes, just holds it in high. I can't wait to try all the sizes and smoke more and more of this blend. Like, I can't even begin to describe how much I enjoy smoking these cigars. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
So you haven't smoked the pyramid yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm sure that rainbow Skittles will rain out of unicorn butts, and there'll be angels with harps when I smoke that one too.
Yeah. But I will say this: when I did smoke this cigar, I kind of felt that this may be one of your top cigars of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by it.
I wasn't gonna say that because I don't want to give anything away or whatever, but
No, that's not saying it will be. I'm just saying I thought you'd really like it.
it just works in every capacity for me right now. That's all I'll say. Fight Chuck Norris. But there was a cigar that earned an Oasis. I didn't even tell you about this one. I forgot to mention this last couple of times we talked. Probably because I bought the whole box and I squirreled it away in my humidor at home. I bought it with my own personal slush fund and put it away. I smoked one out of the box. This is the Opus X Oscuro, and this is the Reserva de Chateau, I believe, which is like a double Corona. Dude, this blend is out of this world. I swear it is in almost a year, right? Because this came out last December, I remember. Mm-hmm. And in just a year that it's been able to sit around and just age, it's even better. And I smoked the biggest size in the box. And it, like, every puff was just magical. And I couldn't believe that I was smoking like a big cigar like that. And to have it produce that amount of, flavor was just unbelievable. I mean, these are not inexpensive cigars.
No.
They're not easy cigars to find. But I tell you what.
And then boxes don't get broken up with those either very much.
No, they just live up to everything you want a cigar to be. The flavors are just unbelievable in this cigar. And I know it's ridiculous to spend this much on the cigars. It's ridiculous how limited and hard to find. And, I mean, there are retailers squirreling these things away, reserving them for people. whatever. And Fuente breeds that culture. I've come to understand that over the years. But this blend is one of my favorite blends of all time, Will, to be honest with you.
I really like that. I really like that one a lot.
And when I first had it, like the different sizes did different things for me, and I gravitate towards the Robusto. And it's interesting.
That's what I like.
In honor of episode 200, I gifted Big Pete a Robusto on this blend. I'm curious to see how much he's got a wet spot in the shorts for it right now. But I smoked the big size the other night. I couldn't even think. It was just awesome. It's Oasis all day long for everything that goes along with this blend. Smoking experience, flavor, spice, balance, aging potential. Oasis, as we've described on the show before, means it's firing on all cylinders. Like all of those little nuanced categories, Will, that we place in a cigar review, this blend hits on all of them. And to be able to produce a cigar like this is just, it's a pretty amazing feat. It doesn't happen too often in this industry to have that, like those few cigars that you hold in such high regard. And Fuente has certainly done that with this blend.
Oh, I agree. And it's one of those, if the box was sitting in my retailer, and it's an expensive box. It's not. Yeah, I would buy it.
There's 14 cigars, 15
It's-
cigars in the box, and it retails for around $230-ish, $240.
It's not $700 like I've seen it
No.
one retailer, but
No, I got it for Emmett. So
Yeah.
I bought a couple of, like when this box came into two different retailers, I bought a bunch. They had like one or two boxes, and I bought a bunch from each box. I wasn't able to buy the whole box. Recently, a retailer was like, "Oh, we had this other box like sitting in the back," and I was just lucky enough that they contacted me first, and I was like, "Sold, done." I'm like, "You wanna make money right now? Like, here's my credit card," and they were like, "Yep, we want to get rid of it. Like, get it out of our inventory. It's been sitting here for almost a year, and you know what? If we can sell the whole thing," I'm like, "Done." And that was, and to me that was, I almost at this point. I have a lot of cigars, right? I've got two pretty full humidors at home. At this point, I pretty much reserve budget for situations like that where retailers I've built up a relationship with are like, "Hey, do you want this?" That's when I'm only spending the money
Right.
on cigars now, Will. For my own personal budget, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take it.
Exactly.
Like when they come to me with special stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. And the past couple of times that's happened this year, it's been Fuente that's had it, which is just amazing.
They've had a great year.
They've had a great year.
They
So
really
I
have.
bought the whole box, and it's, I smoked one, and the rest was just sitting in my humidor at home. And I have some to smoke in the meantime, which is, it's just a blessed place to be honest with you, to have this available to me.
I agree.
So, awesome. So when you come up, Will, I have some of these for you to smoke.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, we got to work on that. That's good.
I'm curious to see what Big Pete's thinking of the one he's smoking now.
Yeah, that
I'll
would
have to
be.
check in
Yeah,
on that. Anything else, Will?
I'm done.
All right. So that concludes this epic episode 200 Stogies of the Week segment. Stay tuned. A very special Debonair Ideals coming up next.